Hey everybody, it's Paul from Two Bears Homestead. Welcome back to our channel and welcome to our kitchen. And if you're new here, we're happy to have you. Hopefully you like what you've seen. Stick around and see what else we have here. So today is, we're having kind of crappy weather. It's just kind of a front came through in this part of Florida when all of everybody up in the other 47 states get, like a rainstorm or a snowstorm go through. The bottom of that is like a comma, and it kind of sweeps across Florida and brings with it like a flash rain that might last 5 or 10 minutes, and then we get a weather change. So today we're in that weather change, so it's kind of cool and dreary out and just not a nice day overall. So, and by our standards, it's a little chilly. So like our high today, I think was like 64. And, so if you're like from Minnesota and you're reading, 64, those poor people in Florida, but it's, we're acclimated to this. So it is a little chilly for us. So today I'm going to be making a gumbo, and in keeping with the fact that I just wing everything in the kitchen these days, well, when it comes to cooking, not the important stuff like canning, I just wanted something rich and warm and something that I'd never really made before. So gumbo kind of fits the bill. Now, for the gumbo purists out there, this is not a Louisiana purist gumbo, but the basics or the base of it is going to be, virtually the same. The only thing is I just don't like okra, and I just, unless it's deep fried, battered and deep fried, and served with ribs in a rib place, I'm not really into okra. That's something I probably need to learn a little bit more on, but I'm not in love with okra. So this recipe is not going to have any okra in it because I would rather lick the hooves of a cow than eat okra at this point. It's just something about it. It's just repulsive to me. So, but who knows? I will eventually try it, but today is not that day. So we're going to make some gumbo. Gumbo is, at its very base, is a roux, and a roux is just an oil or a fat or a butter, any kind of oil with flour that is cooked until it changes color to the deepest, darkest brown that you want it to be. Now, that's like a base of French sauce making, so like, different sauces and gravies and things like that, your base is still that roux, and then you just cook it to whatever color that you're going for. That's the nutshell base of it. So what I have here are all the ingredients set up. I'm just going to show you, and then we're just kind of take a quick walk through it. Okay, so this is the ingredients ready to roll. The first thing first is about a quarter cup of flour and a stick of butter for the roux. I'll probably add a little bit of olive oil to it. The vegetables basically are, because I'm not going to be using okra, as I already said, is the equivalent of a whole bell pepper, so it's half red, half green. I just want a little bit of color, and the red adds a little sweetness to it. A medium onion chopped up, and then a few ribs of celery chopped up, and then 2 to 3 cloves of garlic ready to roll. And then we also have the andouille sausage already sliced and ready to go. The base of the fish sauce, I just use a non-GMO. I picked it up at the supermarket. I don't really cook with fish sauce often, so this to me is going to be a learning experience, but I researched this brand and I trust that it's okay, non-GMO. My homemade chicken stock, and my last jar of whole canned tomatoes going in, and then a can of fire roasted organic non-GMO diced tomato. Also, here is my Creole seasoning. Here we go. This is my Creole seasoning that I made from all the ingredients in my cupboard. I'll put what I did in the description for the Creole seasoning. It's pretty easy to make. I don't need to, again, I don't cook a lot of this type of food, so to have a Creole on hand is not really, it's not worth it. But I like to make all these ingredients out of my own herb garden anyway, so it's nice to have on hand. Okay, so here I have the flour melted, and in the butter I put a little bit of olive oil in there, and now it's just a matter of let it cook it, do its thing. The one thing with a roux is never walk away from it. Never, ever, ever. So just you can see it's already changing. It's already a little bit of a golden color coming, so it's already starting to cook. So we will see you in a minute. Had to change my battery, but I threw in the vegetables. The roux is a nice dark caramel color, which is what you want, or at least what I understand what you want. Now I just throw the vegetables right in and cook them down for about 5 minutes. And then we add the sausage, and then right before we add the liquid, we'll add the garlic. I also wanted to point out that you have to add a bay leaf as well when you add the liquid. And also, I did mention earlier that it's also going to have shrimp in it, which is in the sink, the frosting. So, yeah, what's a gumbo without shrimp? I mean, come on now. Okay, so as this is cooking, it doesn't really look like it's cooking hard, but trust me, it's very, very hot and it's cooking. So now we're adding in the garlic. Let that cook for less than a minute. Throw the bay leaf in now as well. More than enough for the garlic. And then I've opted to use half fish sauce, half chicken stock. There's about 4 cups going in. And about a tablespoon of the Creole seasoning. Okay, this has been simmering for about 45 minutes. Everything else is ready. About 10 minutes before you serve, go ahead and add your shrimp or your seafood. And I don't really need to tell you anything else. And for the shrimp, I went and I peeled the tails off, so it's easier to eat. Okay, so here is the wrap up, and let me tell you, the gumbo was delicious. It was really, really good, and I'm almost saying I'm proud of myself. But the flavor was very rich and hearty and heat forward. You know how sometimes you eat spicy things and it's like heat back, I guess is the best way to say it. This had a very nice forward, robust heat, and it was not uncomfortable at all. It was very, very, it was just delicious. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. You know, and then of course, you know, we had it over rice, so the rice kind of, you know, added to the richness of it. And then of course cornbread, because you can't have gumbo without cornbread. So the cornbread was amazing. So anyway, so I want to kind of recap and touch base on a few things and like takeaways, if you will. So the Creole seasoning that I made is, I don't know if that's coming through, is I'll link it in the description below. Not link it, but put what I did, just the basic proportions. You know, you can make more or less. You can just up it or raise it or lower it, however you want. So it was really, really good. Now I don't use, well, I haven't in the past have done a lot of Creole style cooking, so I didn't have any of the seasoning on hand, but I had every single ingredient in the cupboard. So just went online, looked up a few Creole seasoning recipes, and this is kind of what I came up with, and I like it. So I'm glad I'm glad I did it, because I think the store-bought version may have not had that warm heat that I had, I guess. I don't know if I'm making sense with that, but it's really good. So the gumbo was delicious, had a nice forward heat to it, so I will absolutely be adding this to my cooking repertoire, if you will. So it's not something I, make a lot of. It's like beef stew. I don't make it very often, so gumbo will be one of those things that are more of a cool weather comfort food type thing. So, so basically, I just want to kind of recap what I did, and some observations for you for the cooking part of it. Is when you're making the roux, you want to melt the butter, add a little bit of oil if that's what you're going to do. You can make a roux with oil too. The butter just adds a nicer flavor, and and the flour. And I use non-GMO organic flour. Organic flour is non-GMO. Organic flour is non-GMO by nature anyway. So you want to whisk that flour into the melted butter or the oil. You want to really get it in there. There's a science behind it where the fat gets around every molecule of the flour or something like that. So the flour is encased in the oil. So it's not going to look like it's cooking. So you want to keep whisking it, because it will burn. Like, the flour will settle down and it will burn. You have to keep it moving at all times, and you want to do it over a medium heat, and that way you can just really see the color changing, because it will change, and if you blink or you walk away, it could easily burn. And many people do burn their gumbo roux, so you do not want to do that. A medium to low heat. That's why I put the oil in there, because it might have been like a tablespoon of olive oil, because it helps with the heat, and like sometimes butter can burn, so you don't want to burn. So kind of rambling on that. So got the roux in there. It got to a nice dark caramel color. Now the battery cut out on the camera right when I was showing you or went to show you, I should say. Well, I was showing you, but it just wasn't recording. So the roux was a nice. I mean, it just looked just like caramel. I mean, it was just it looked delicious, and I just threw the vegetables in, and just kept stirring them around, and just kept sauteing them in there and flipping them around. Again, you don't want to not move that, because it's still, the base of the roux is still in there. You still want to keep those vegetables moving and cooking them down. You're not leaving them to brown. They will brown a little bit, but it's and that's minimal. You want to keep those the vegetables moving around inside that, because you again don't want that flour to burn. And at that point, you can also add the sausage. After the vegetables are cooked about 5 minutes, you throw the sausage in there. It's the same thing. Now, the sausage did brown a little bit on the bottom, and that's okay, because that's what you want. It's just a little bit more flavor. So got the sausage going, and right when you're ready to put the liquid in, is you want to put the garlic in and just stir that around. Because just like in any other recipe, you don't want to put the garlic in on the high heat and too soon, because it'll burn off and then get that bitter flavor that garlic gets. So literally it was like 30 seconds, just stirring it around, get that garlic in there, get it out, get the aromatics going, and then put the liquid in. And the liquid was the fish stock and the chicken stock. I did half and half, which is about 4 cups the first go, and then I went and added actually another total of 4 cups, so it was 2 cups. So it was 4 cups of each is what it came down to. I went and put that in there, and immediately you could already see that it was, it was already thickening as soon as it hit that. So, and when you're making other sauces and stuff like that as well, it's the same principle. You have the hot roux with or without the vegetables, and then the room temperature or cool liquid going in, and you whisk it in really good, and then that's where you're getting all that suspension of the thickening agent. So we got the roux in, we got everything going, and now the soup or the gumbo is now just simmering on the stove for like 45 minutes or so. At that point, I added, well, actually, if I backtrack, I added the Creole seasoning right before I put the liquid in, and that was about a tablespoon. And then I tasted it a little bit, and I added a little bit more. I wanted to bring it up a little bit. I felt it needed it. I don't really have any reason why I felt like it needed it. I'm just like, what can it hurt? So I put a little more in. So we got that in there, and we again let that simmer. And in that 45 minutes or so, I did things like clean up, put the rice on, made the cornbread, all that stuff. So now when it comes to the shrimp, or the seafood that you're going to put in, obviously you can't put the seafood in soon because it just will overcook. So, about 10 to 12 minutes before you think you're going to serve it, that's when you put the shrimp in. Now, I actually did it, I used 10 minutes, and I just, threw the shrimp in, stirred it in, put the lid on, just let the shrimps cook. And then I got everything ready for dinner. I used frozen deveined shrimp, but frozen deveined tail on shrimp. So, but I was like, I pulled the tails off because I thought that it would be just easier to eat, and I don't mind peeling shrimp and eating it, shrimp and that kind of stuff. But I think for sitting down at dinner, it's just a little cumbersome to have to worry about pulling a tail off a shrimp while you're eating. So one of the easiest way I've found is for pulling the tails off of the shrimp. It's like, how the back of the shrimp, where the tail is, it's got that little ridge. So I just would crack it down with my thumb, just like give it a little squeeze, crack it down. And then at the tail, you kind of squeeze the tail toward the body, and then pull the tail and the shell off. And usually you can get the flesh to stay inside. So it doesn't happen every single time, but it's a better presentation. And you paid for the shrimp. You eat just that little bit. Hey, that's shrimp. I want to keep it. So, and that's what I did. So that's you can try that if you ever feel the urge to take tails off shrimp. Try rolling those back fins or the flippers, whatever they call them. So that's that. Again, the gumbo is absolutely delicious. I will be making that for sure again. I have plenty left over. The pot's still sitting on the stove. It's kind of got to let it cool off a little bit before I put it in an ice bath, get it in the refrigerator to cool off, because I don't want that sitting out. It's got the shrimp in it. And that's about it. So I appreciate your time. One of the biggest things you can do to help our channel is to share this on your social media, whichever social media it is, and tell a friend about us, and send it to somebody. If you know somebody that wants to try gumbo, this is very easy actually to do. Just about being organized at the stove. It's a little hands-on, but once you get the soup part of it going, it's easy. And I highly recommend you trying it. If you've always wondered what gumbo was like, give it a try. It's pretty straightforward. I'm not going to put any recipe in the description other than the Creole seasoning, but you can research the different ways to make gumbo. But at the base of it, it's about that roux. Like I've said earlier, it's about making sure you do not burn that, and then you get the cool liquid into the roux, and that's where your base is. You can season it anyway. You don't even have to use Creole seasoning. You can do other flavors if you want, but the base is there. So again, that's it. I kind of got off. So again, please hit like and subscribe. We would love for you to continue to follow us on our journey, and on to the next thing. We appreciate your time, and thank you for being with us today.